Welcome again. This is Brother G coming to you again with another video message, another video teaching. How to torment demons. So we had a video before that look at what is demons. And as the book, the Bible, the biblical text is given to us and we are using it, and whether it is forced upon us or whatever it is, we're going to use it. We are going to use it, and we're going to use reality and fight against demons, right? This is how we are going to fight against demons. Not everybody have the power to fight against demons. Some give in to the demons. Some, it's the same thing, acquiesce to the demons, meaning you just live the way they come to you in, whether them come to you in a spiritual form or they come to you in a friend form or they come through a friend or something like that, and you just acquiesce to their will and live their will. I'm here to tell you that you don't have to give in to them, and you can torment them. One of the mark of tormenting demons is when you speak to them, they get very angry. Of course, when you also speak to people, let me backtrack a little bit. In anybody, whether it's a righteous man, whether it's an evil man, when the spirit of truth attacks the demon in anybody, whether he's righteous, whether he's evil, it doesn't matter. If you have a place in the righteous man that is not too strong, when the spirit of truth comes, there's something that righteous man will do too. He will attack. If he don't have control and he don't know how to say, you know what, I'm wrong or I'm sorry, he will attack. Now, obviously, when you say it to the evil person and they are led by an evil spirit, then they're going to do the same thing like the righteous man. They will attack. However, the attack might be different. Now, the righteous man, like what was given to us, like David, a righteous man would act in that way like David. David then realized that he was the man who stole Uriah's wife and killed the man and take him wife and pregnant her and all those things. The righteous man are the man who are seek God's wisdom and are seek God's heart. Him not possess it. He's seeking God's heart. We're going to use that example of David and say, of course, David's sin is egregious, worse than some of us sin, right? Yes, it is. There are big sins and there are small sins. Come on, let's be honest. We know the thing, So let's just speak truth. All right. So we want to torment demons. So when Nathan actually come to David, he didn't really torment David because David just acquiesced to the truth and just go. But there are people like King Ahab who the spirit of truth torment him, or even Saul, where the spirit of truth tormented Saul. The spirit of truth torment him in such a way not to torment him. We have to explain them things before we get into the meat of the matter. The spirit never tormented Saul because it wanted Saul to torment it or be tormented. No, it was trying to replace his wrong belief with a right belief, and he was refusing to the point that at that time he wanted to kill David, David was trying to assist him or help him. So the spirit of truth didn't come to kill Saul like we're going to kill Saul. No, the spirit of truth was actually trying to replace the evil thought that he had in him so that he could remain or go back to be in who he ought to be. And that's how we're going to torment. But we're going to get some more into it and show you how to torment demonic spirit. One of the mark the demons will want to do is to stop us from talking, because that's the first, actually, may I use American language, the first line of defense is to counteract his speech. And Jesus and his disciple arrived at the country of the Gadarenes, which is over against Galilee. Now, it is plain to me, at least, and to others, I would suppose, that the Gadarenes is a ghetto like the Galilee. So therefore, we know how ghetto is. There is a lot of contrary spirit in the ghettos. There's a lot of pain and suffering in the ghettos. There's a lot of people bound by demonic spirit in the ghettos again. They are bound by thoughts and ideas and concepts that sometimes are not real, that are not consistent with reality. They are bound by superstition. One of the superstitions that I grew up with, seeing around many older people, when you're using salt and the salt may fall on the ground accidentally, I think it's so, they would take up some of the salt and throw behind them as a way of preventing, I don't know, evil? I don't know. Okay, but that is superstition. No, I deliberately spill salt and don't throw it behind me. There are so many superstition that it's really not real. It's your belief that is holding you hostage. There's this this other belief, and they of course they read it in the Bible with, I think it was Jacob and his wife when they leave Laban, and she took some of the stupid idols, the artifacts, and to some degree we believe that the artifacts hold some power over the people. It's not the artifacts, my friends. It's not the image, my friends. They have no power over you unless you believe in the concept of that artifacts. So now Jesus and his disciple go over the ghetto now. And when he went forth to the land, there he met him out of the city a certain man which had devils long time, and wear no clothes, neither live in any house, but in the tomb. Now, basically, there is an old understanding of this particular man, this certain man, which had no name. If we knew anything about parable, which the new term for parable today is allegory, we would understand this is somewhat of an allegorical story to depict a spiritual understanding. So when we read this actual text, this verse in it of itself, we really, 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 really believe that Jesus actually went to this town and he actually saw a man living amongst the tomb. He really, really saw a man living amongst the tomb. I have yet in my life, some may see it, I have yet in my life actually see people live in a physical place of a tomb. But I've seen many, many people living in tombs, walking around as the movie depicts The Walking Dead. This is what they are talking about. Yes, we come to open up the book. So when it says that he wear no clothing, that means it simply means by the biblical text and the biblical understanding and the biblical interpretation that was given even in the same book. It means that he had on no righteous clothing, even though it didn't say he didn't have on any white clothing. He wear no clothing. He wasn't even aware of demonic spirit. And when it says he live in tombs, let me give you a clarification of what it means by he live in tombs. If you remember in one of the Gospels, or in the 4 Gospels or the 3 Gospels, whichever one we determine our Gospels. And Jesus said to the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the scribes, the priests, and the leaders, he said to them They clean outside of the tomb, but inside they are dead man. They are dead man bones, or they are sepulchre. This is the same contextual understanding of this man living in a tomb. And I'm going to show you by the very text that this is what it means. That this man, who seemingly to me to be a leader of high standing, who was held into place by various different type of evil spirit. I made a video just a few moments ago, or a day or two ago, about satanic influence or Luciferian influence. It's talking about the office of someone really powerful who have demonic spirit, or who imbibe demonic belief. These are beliefs that are contrary to what is natural, what is true, what is productive, what is beneficial, what is everlasting. That's basically what it is. So when we see this and read this as Jesus going into the land, we actually believe that he's going to meet an actual man in a tomb. No, he's not. If anything, he's going to meet someone in high authority who was bound by demonic forces, demonic beliefs, and I'm going to show you even by the very text that it reveals it. It's when you look through your spiritual lenses, then you start to understand these concepts in plain and understand how to fight or torment demons. And when this certain man saw Jesus, he cried out and fell down before him, and with a loud voice said, "What I have to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of God Most High? I beseech thee, torment me not." For he had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man. For oftentimes it had caught him, and he had kept bound with chains and fetters, and he brake the bond, and was driven of the devil into the wilderness. Now, I read these two verses because I want to bring forth an idea that is true. And I told you before, I perceived this man was of high standing in this town. But because, watch the revelation, because this leader was possessed by demonic force, I'm going to run ahead of myself. You're going to see that the people of the Gadarenes was also possessed by demonic, contrary, confusing spirit. You see, because if the leaders are bound by demonic spirit, therefore, like in Revelation, what it says, the spirit that comes from the beast, the dragon, and the false prophet, it was like a frog, which is an unclean spirit that they spew from out of their mouth. Again, it's according to laws. It's according to principle, even in the church. It's according to codes. It's according to statutes. So because the devil knew these ideas, these concepts that are coming from different places, it has bound this man. But according to this text, it says that this man was strong. Why? When Jesus commanded the unclean spirit before he cried out, "What I have to do with you, Jesus?" It means, when you read this in context and you read the bracket, it is telling you that oftentimes it wasn't just a one-time shot, a one-time deal. Oftentimes when Jesus, here's in the text, for oftentimes it had caught him, and he have kept him bound with chains and in fetters, and the man broke the chains and the fetters, and because he was withstood in the demonic spirit, the demonic spirit chase him out into the wilderness. So now the question for those Bible scholars, was he in the tomb or was he in the wilderness? My friends, it's the same place. If you're in the tombs, you're in the wilderness. So, but this man was strong. This man was strong, so the enemy had to push him out in the wilderness. If you remember anything, and you're a preacher or a teacher, you remember the same thing happened to Jesus. The same thing happened to Paul. The same thing happened to Moses. The same thing happened to Elijah. The same thing happened to Elisha. What happened to them? When they come of age and they come of understanding and they receive high office and they move into high office, they are dealing with all type of demonic forces, which we know are contrary to the kingdom of light. You're dealing with Herod and Herodias. You're dealing with Ahab and Jezebel. You're dealing with, in some cases, a man like David who seeks God's wisdom, who sometimes fall in egregious sin. You're dealing with people, leaders like Saul. So when you get into high office, don't believe that this thing is easy. Paul says to us and to them at that time, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but principality, powers, and rulers in high places. I wish he had said high places of government. But if you go back in many of the texts, you would realize who Paul was fighting, and it is evident. And you see who Jesus is fighting, it is evident. It's very evident. Let's give some more clarification. And this is me tormenting the devil and idolatry. Solomon, the great wise Solomon, in his olden age, made gods to all his wife, over thousands or more. Didn't you think then that he was challenged or possessed by demonic forces because he made gods? And as I said before, these are foolishness. These are just inanimate objects. Yes, I am. If you listen to this, I am attacking the demons. And Jesus asked him, this certain man, his name. And the man said, Legion, because many devils were entered into him. Again, as I said before, even though there were many, and people say legions is 3,000, it doesn't really matter to me how much is a legion. It was a lot of spirits, just like Solomon. It's a lot of demonic force, a lot of contrary spirit, a lot of conflicting ideas, a lot of contrary things according to what is natural, according to what is beneficial. So however, this man was exceedingly strong. There are many more revelations I could give about this. He was strong because anytime he break the bonds that these enemy had him into, they chase him into the wilderness. It's similar to like Jesus. Jesus come against the enemy in the wilderness. Or you could say Jesus was in the tomb. I'm not going to give you all my revelation. No, I won't. And so anytime Jesus break the bond, or anytime Jesus rolled the stone away, anytime he did that, they were scared. Anytime they put an obstacle, anytime the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the scribes, the leaders, the priests put an obstacle before him, they were scared because he hurdled it as he was like, he had learned to hurdle years before. They were marveling at how he hurdled every one of their obstacle that they put before him. So every time they put an obstacle before Jesus in the spirit so that he could fall, he was able to move the obstacle. He was able to move the obstacle for other people. He was so this man was strong also. So Jesus is now coming to aid him by moving the obstacle that held him in place by all these demonic forces. One of the main tactics of these demons, and you see it was done to Jesus because he was coming out of poverty. How is it possible that you have this understanding? You didn't went to Athens. You wasn't taught at the feet of Gamaliel, which is the concept of being taught in Harvard or Princeton. Where is your learning? What school did you go to? How do you know words? They don't mean letters. They mean How do you have wisdom to contradict what we are saying? That's basically what these legions are doing. It's just giving it from a different perspective. Incidentally, I see many people with legions in them, and I hear the different thoughts. I hear the different ideas that are in people, and they're contrary to one another. I've heard it and I've seen it. I even hear it in myself sometimes. And then sometimes I have to combat those contrary spirit and fight against them, because it's almost like your flesh. Your flesh is like a hard drive. It retains all that you have done from youth up until this time. And so when you become spiritual, the spiritual now is now fighting against all that is saved on your hard drive in your flesh. And so now there is a war between the fleshly spirit and the heavenly spirit. So that, oh man, I shouldn't be giving away these things so freely. But I think the spirit says, freely did I receive. It wasn't freely, but you freely give. But okay, all right. So anyways, so your body is like the hard drive, and the body contain a fleshly spirit. And there's a war between the spiritual spirit and the fleshly spirit. And Jesus commanded them, this is the legion, that he would not command them to go into the deep. And there, over yonder, a herd of unclean people, yeah, you read it right, unclean leaders, feeding on the mountain. Oh, Jesus, you have given me knowledge beyond what I should do with it, but here I am. And there was there a herd of many swine, many other leaders who were feeding on the mountain. Go read the prophet of the Old Testament and see what the Spirit of Truth says. Those who eat on the mountain. So these are other leaders who were eating on the mountain that the swine wanted to These legion is saying to Jesus as he commanded them, because he had the spirit and he was writing laws, powerful laws, to extract and to distract and to get them out of these high offices. And so when these enemies saw Jesus in the spirit, they said unto him, don't send us into the deep. We want to stay in high office. So Jesus said, okay, you see those other swines, those other leaders? Go into those other leaders. And guess what these leaders is going to do? They're going to run off the cliff. So when the devils, the demons, the legions, Satan, Lucifer, then when they went out of the man, they entered into the other leaders, the other swines, and those leaders ran violently down a steep place into the lake and were choked with their own convincing, convoluted, subversive, deceptious, subtle lie. They were choked with their lies. They were choked with their own concept. That means it was like Paul said to the Jews of his days, the Roman Jews of his days. He said, you are teachers and you're supposed to be leading the people in the right way. Even Jesus said that to the Pharisees, the scribes, the leaders, the priests, the captains. He said, you are leaders. You're supposed to lead the people into the right way, but you are blocking the kingdom of light. Neither are you going into the kingdom of light, but you are even blocking people from getting into the kingdom of light. And he said, in another part, he said, leave the blind so they fall in the pit. This is the same concept of being choked with their own lives. With lies, not lives, lies. They are being choked with their own understanding. And this is another concept of the Spirit of God moving and leaving men to their reprobate mind, to their own understanding, to their own concept, to their own ideas of how we should live. And they are choked because they refuse the truth. They are choked like Sodom and Gomorrah. They are choked like in Nebuchadnezzar. They are choked like in ancient Israel of the biblical text. They are choked in the New Testament. And even today, many of us are choked with lies. And they that fed the swine saw what had been done. They fled and they went and told it to the city and in the country. So when the city and the country heard the news, they went out to see for themselves what was done. And they came to Jesus and they found the man of whom the devils were departed, sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed. Now before he was unclothed. That means that the man now was in his right mind. He was able, like Zacchaeus, to say, listen, those who must steal money from, I gotta pay them back 4 times the tax that I stole from them. This is what he's clothed. He's clothed with right statutes. He's clothed with right codes. He's clothed with right laws to benefit the people. Don't miss this. And the city and the country was afraid. Watch this. Those people who had saw it firsthand, they told the city and the country by what means he that was possessed of the devils was healed. Let's hold our thoughts. So the whole multitude of the city and the country, when they learn of the means of what Jesus cast out these demonic possession, when they learn of the means, they besought him to depart from them, for they were taken with great fear. And he went up into the ship. So the spirit went up into the ship and departed. So it says. So you see that the people, when they saw that this man was in his right mind, this leader started to profess right laws and codes and right statutes. The people were scared of this man because now he is doing the right thing. He's not acting like the other swines that are on the mountain. He's not acting like the other swines that are eating on the mountain. He was literally trying to create righteous codes and standards to really benefit the whole city and the country. That's basically what they're talking about here. And so the people have grew accustomed to living by swine edict, swine laws, swine concept, like Balaam. So it's like Balaam over them again. And the people used to this, and they are used to their way of life. They are used to doing the things they ought to do. They are believing a lie. And so because this man is transformed, and he's now going to put forth codes and stature that would benefit the people, they say, yo, you got to depart from us. Leave us alone. Now the man who all the demons came out of begged Jesus and said he wants to stay with him, but Jesus sent him away, saying. Then Jesus said to the man, this is what Jesus said, return to thy own house. Oh, I thought he was in the tomb or he was in the wilderness, but he said, return to thy own house and shew how great things God had done unto thee. God is a spirit, and God seeks those who worship him in spirit and in truth. So then when God comes to your spirit, he will communicate with you. Anyways, and he went his way and watched the word and published throughout the whole city how great things Jesus had done unto him. Bible scholars, teachers, philosophers, so that this was really a man in the tomb, as you would suppose. He was mental, he was crazy, he was living in a tomb. One gospel say he was cutting himself. you don't know or understand the spirit that given the text. That's why you believe that this was a homeless person. This was a mentally incapacitated person who now, when he received his right mind, run through the city and publish what all Jesus. Does that make sense? Or this makes sense? It is likened unto Zacchaeus, who were already in leadership, and because of his transformation, many people will receive tax benefit from Zacchaeus, because before or oftentimes he stole from the people. Now they are receiving actual compensation in the context of Zacchaeus. So now this man go and now publish. You actually believe this is an homeless man, a person who have no stature, no influence, no nothing, and they now went to publish what Jesus, that you really believe that? Okay. There are many leaders today that are in the tomb, that are in the wilderness, that are washing or cleaning the outside. Their physical Jerusalem, their Jerusalem synagogue or church that is clean on the outside, or the physical body is clean on the outside, but within them they are dead man bones. They are dead to life. They are dead. They don't have the crown of life. They don't understand the spiritual things. So they are in the wilderness. They are going around in circles. They can't seem to understand the spiritual context of Moses or Abraham. They still believe that Noah built an actual ship. They're still believing that Elijah, a one man, take a sword and kill over 400 men. They're still thinking fantasy. They're still being choked by lies. They're still believing that this was a homeless man who now publish what happened to him with Jesus. And in the coming up verses, you're going to see what was the purpose of the Spirit of God going into Gadarenes. You will see the purpose is to transform the people by faith through righteous spiritual laws. You're gonna so when this man, this leader, went to his house of abode, it means the place that laws are dispensed, wherever that is. It says in the following verse, and it came to pass, this is the meaning of the whole thing. This is the meaning. When it came to pass, when it means it came to pass, could be years, could be days. We don't know. That when Jesus was returned, the people gladly received him, for they were all waiting for him. So really and truly, the man after Jesus, God, the Spirit, the law, transformed this man. He went to prepare. He was a type of John the Baptist. He went to prepare the people that so when Jesus come back with now wisdom and understanding and spiritual laws, so that you can overcome and torment the demons in your life and in my life, then you will be ready for that Spirit of truth to raise hell. Now, let's bring it to a different level as we end out this video message, this video teaching. There's certain concepts we have to deal with, especially if you're in the ghetto. There are certain environmental things that you have to deal with because other people is doing it, and it may seem like the right way to go. Yes, it does, because everybody's doing it. And so when you receive the Spirit of truth, or even a little bit by faith, when you start to torment demons, I'm going to caution you. Be careful that even your own family don't turn against you. Be careful that even your own friends don't turn against you. Be careful that even the whole world will turn against you. You'll have to run to hide in a cave because you're running, because you are tormenting them, and they cannot fight with the Spirit. They have to fight like Cain. They have to fight like Jezebel. They have to fight like they have to fight like Herod and Herodias. They will not fight like how we fight. We fight through the Spirit. We wrestle against their concept. We try not to hit them physically. We try not to spit on them. We try not to do ad hominem attacks. We try not to do fight as they do, but we fight with the Spirit. We put on the whole armor of God, and we are acting as if God in the flesh, and we are behaving decently as much as our power, our faith can carry us. The demons always attack physically because they cannot fight against the spiritual laws. Again, let me repeat that as we end this video message, this video teaching. The demons cannot fight with spiritual laws, so therefore they come with physical attacks to stop the word of truth to go forward, so that people could hear and repent and turn to the Spirit of God and live an abundant life, which was prophesied that all should receive. And so we thank you. We can torment demons. Again, before me end it out, if you want to torment demons or Satan, I must say, count the cost. Count the cost, because they will not adhere to, they would say in America, the rules of engagement. If we are just talking, they will descend in the pit. They would start calling you names, even to the point of physical attack. Like Stephen was fighting according to the Spirit, and they attacked him. Paul was fighting with the Spirit, and they attacked him. They cannot contend with the Spirit of truth, so they attack. Peace and love and blessing from